Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the week 2 of the Challengers League. Tonight, we're bringing you guys Reddit versus Heavy Turret, and then afterwards, we'll be bringing you guys Relic Main versus 404. Should be some really good matches tonight. I'm really looking forward to it. Once again, we're featuring a Heavy Turret game. I believe this is the second one we've done, or this will be the third. We
Might
did
be
one
the
the first
third, yeah.
week. Yeah, we did one Monday, and they've been very good fights. I don't think Heavy Turret has actually managed to win a series, sadly. But they always put up good fights, and I'm expecting them to start pulling some things out here. They had some very tough teams early on, so hopefully we'll get to a little bit easier schedule. Some teams that are more at their level, and they can start to get some wins on the board. That being said, we've also brought you guys a Reddit match before. I have a lot of good friends over at Reddit, so I'm really excited to see what they can do. I think this is going to be a really even series, probably a 5-2, 5-3 scoreline, somewhere in there. Personally, I'd say in favor of Reddit, but Heavy Turret have clearly been putting in the work. They showed that they are very capable on Himmelsdorf on Monday, so I'm really looking forward to this. As always, I am Rockstar. Alongside me, we got Spanish doing your camera work and some code analysis, and we'll be starting here in just a few seconds.
I'll make sure I change the scene so that we don't use that one.
Yep. So if any of you guys want to go see the matches from week 1 or from Monday, they're already up on our YouTube channel, which is down in the description of Twitch. So feel free to check those out. Subscribe there. Subscribe to the Twitch channel. Follow our Twitter for updates. And yeah, and next week we are actually going to be on top of the normal Challengers League. It looks like we'll be bringing you guys matches from the Champions League on Thursday as well. So 3 days of matches. We'll probably be doing 2 matches every day. So a ton of action for you guys to watch. So feel free to follow us. That being said, we're into our first battle. So tanks, Heavy Turret bringing a 50B, 4 E100s, double 215B, an IS-4, an IS-7, an E5, a T62A, an E3, an E4, and a Gun Conqueror. I wonder if Heavy Turret just said, let's see how many different tanks we can get into one lineup. It's kind of what it looks like. Meanwhile, Reddit bringing 250Bs, 5 U100s, 2 IS-7s, a T57, a Batchat, a 140, and 2 210 E3s. So both these teams are very experienced when it comes to attack defend. Both of these teams have players from a variety of the WGLNA leagues. I know over on the side of Heavy Turret, you have, at least playing tonight, The Law is the caller of Tomato Stealers. They're a very good Silver League team. And they've had a couple of their players in and out of this lineup. I'm not sure if any of them are here right now. Meanwhile, over on Reddit, I know Carjax, Ninja Gumby, and Letif all play for the Silver League team. Get flanked, and if I recall, Shut Up Snake and Bryant play for one of the other Reddit teams. I could be wrong on that one though. So both these teams have players in the WGL, so none of them are going to be any strangers to this. So going over the setups here, Heavy Turret's set up with a bit stronger, more aggressive 1-2 line counter. The last time they played this, they sat back a little bit more and played defensive. This time they're being a bit more aggressive, taking some more vision away, and making sure that they have control of this 1-2 line. And they haven't spotted anything from Reddit, so I'm expecting the 62A to get a little bit more aggressive here and find some more vision. Meanwhile, Reddit's going with a much stronger hill play. They've stacked up a lot of tanks on the 8 line below it, the tank destroyers and a lot of the E100s. And the rest of the tanks they have are up on the hill right now, the 50Bs, the mediums, and I believe the T57's up there as well. So I'm expecting a hard 2-cap play coming out here soon. But what they don't know is that Heavy Turret has set up with a very strong defense. They have 2 E3s locking down that, an E3 and an E4 locking down the Alpha line, and a bunch of E100s and IS-7s locking down the 7-8 line north end. That being said, 2 of these E100s are pushing down the 8 line, and they're going to run into a bulk of the forces of Reddit, who have chosen to take this moment to push up. Some early trades going out here, good damage from Heavy Turret going off under Reddit. And Reddit just needs to hurry up and push out of this. It looks like their 0-line tanks are going to come over here and complete this flank, and these E100s are going to be in a very bad place. the 215Bs from heavy turret are giving up the Delta line, and they're going to be shifting up to the Bravo line to support these tanks' rear. So they're going to sit here and shoot the tanks coming down from the hill, while these guys focus with the tanks south. That means these IS-7s and E-100s from heavy turret, though, across this Bravo line need to push forward because they're going to be getting in a pretty brutal crossfire here pretty soon, and they need to get out of there. HP is staying pretty even. Both teams trading. Heavy turret had some good early trades, but Reddit's done a good job to claw back into it. Both teams sitting around 2,400 right now. So, up these tier 10 tanks, just like that, 700 damage from one shot. So, and a tank goes down. Good focus fire out of heavy turret, making sure to knock out the low HP guns. It's something that has plagued heavy turret for the last couple of weeks that we've seen them, is they just have struggled to take out guns off the field. This is a very good start for them. They're doing a decent job trading. They're actually taking a slight lead on the HP trading right now. So, they just need to hurry up and knock down a few more tanks. And it looks like some tanks are going to come out here to complete this flank for a heavy turret. They're going to pincer this IS-7, and he's going to drop. He takes a shot for 370, and the rest of these E-100s are going to push south. Heavy turret realizes that they're in a bad spot, and they're in a crossfire, and they're just going to push in and try to take out as many guns. 3 guns go down, but this E3 and E100 are going to go down for heavy turret, make it a 3-all. But I don't know if Reddit can get their guns to help these tanks further south. There's a lot of tanks between them and the guns of heavy turret. So we have to see. The trades are going out here. Reddit's taking a slight HP lead. They need heavy turret needs to hurry up and clean up this 8 line if they want to have a chance here, or they're, Reddit's just going to pick them apart. These 50Bs are obviously clipped right now. Great focus fire onto Carjacks and that 50B dropping them, but heavy turret or Reddit respond with 2 more kills of their own. So we're at a 5-6 right now. I'm expecting these E100s here to poke onto this IS-7 and make him drop real fast. This E100 on the 8 line is also going to drop, and the tank destroyer from Reddit or from heavy turret also drops. So staying very even at 6-7. Reddit's gaining a little bit of an HP lead, but heavy turret's trying to claw back into this. They still have enough guns on the field to make this work. They need to hurry up and finish off this 8 line, though. These guns been along for way too long. The E100s are finally going to push south to join them. There goes down another gun. Good focus fire from them. Reddit, though, needs to hurry up and clean out this north cap. This is how they're going to do it. These tanks are doing a good job stalling out their guns, but the rest of the guns have to make it happen. These guys aren't going to be the ones that win the fight. They're going to be the ones that hold these guns up long enough for the rest of their tanks to clean up. Still only a 1 tank lead, now a 2 tank lead for Reddit, but one of these E100s is about to drop. It's going to go back to a 1 tank lead. He lines up the shot, pens, but gets a low roll for 600, and this tank's alive at 1 HP. Goes for the slight ram, doesn't get it, and he executes the other E100, but his buddy revenges him. It is a 2 tank lead in favor, 3 tank lead in favor of Reddit, with only like a 3,000 damage lead, which with this few tanks left isn't that much. E100 looking up, great focus fire onto that 140. They drop him to 4%, 82 HP, and he still manages to find that E5. So it's all down to this E100 who gets double tapped, getting circled from all angles. He's got a tank behind him, good angling, bounces a shot off of his rear armor, bounces another one off the side of his turret. That one pens, and no mistakes made that time. He gets finished off. First battle, 14-9 in favor of Reddit. So, really interesting stuff there. I feel that heavy turret had a good early setup, but they took too long to capitalize on the positions they were in. Reddit did a good job at reading the situation, completing that flank, getting their guns into that fight, and cleaning up the, splitting the guns of heavy turret. If heavy turret had just picked one direction and gone and pushed all their guns, they were doing a good enough job making their shots count and focusing fire, but they just didn't have enough guns there to chew through all the weight that Reddit left down on that 8 line. Anything you noticed there, Smish?
I have to question it again, and I hate to keep questioning because sometimes it does actually work. But the use of artillery, especially defensively, has always kind of confused me because you're not really in the control of the pace of a battle. You're more defensively turtling and willing to accept pushes in certain directions and then flexing to receive those pushes as a defender. You're not really in control of the time of the battle, so the attackers have the advantage with artillery. They have a lot of still sitting tanks in defense, and just really on Himmelsdorf, there's really only one way that you could use that artillery piece on defense, and that's behind that train house, getting shots onto the 2-cap and to the hill there. It's really limited in what it can do, and I mean, it put out 1,800 damage, but that was one shot that was shot the entire time. Let's see, he shot 4 shots, and he did 1 hit, direct hit from penetration.
Yeah, so, I honestly forgot that Heavy Turret didn't even brought in artillery. That's how small the effect, he factored into that fight. I didn't even see the shots come out. Reddit or Heavy Turrets E100s, they had 3 of the E100s do great damage this game, great shot consistency, 4,700 and 2 at 3K. So, they did their job. But, like the choice of the IS-4, I didn't really see where the IS-4 was in that fight. But he only penetrated 1 shot for 500. The IS-4 is notorious for being a tank that is greatly armored, but its gun is very meh. The DPM is not that great, and it's very slow. It's kind of like a mouse. It's like the Russian version, basically. It has some spaced armor, so it can be a pain to kill, especially when played correctly and put in the right spots. But I didn't see him cause many problems for Reddit that game, so I don't know what exactly the theory was of bringing him.
I mean, I also have to point out that the T-57 Heavy Ledif put out 5,000 damage there, which is pretty ridiculous. I was actually questioning them bringing a T-57 to Himmelsdorf. I assume they parked them up on hill in the beginning, which is why we see the 23 shots fired with only 15 connecting and 14 of those 15 penetrating. I'm assuming those are blind fires from up on hill. But that's excellent damage out of any tank. Especially out of one that I didn't expect to get that kind of damage out of.
T-57s used to be the mainstay. You saw those instead of 50Bs because they were pretty mobile, and the DPM they get out of them, they get the 4 shots at 400 damage, and they only have a 20-second reload on that clip. So they could pump out insane damage. After the mobility nerf and the gun dispersion nerf, the 50Bs became more prevalent because they had the speed, the armor was about the same, and the guns fired APCR in the 50B, which is why we don't see them. And however, being on a map like Himmelsdorf, where you're going to see a lot of E100s, E100 turrets get diced up by heat shields. They no real amount of angling is going to help you. Especially when there's a lot of tanks around, you're not going to be able to angle against all of them. So I can see 57s being very effective on this. So we will have to see if Heavy Turret can actually make use of them, because they have brought 2 of them. So take a second, go over lineups here. Heavy Turret bringing a 50B, 5 E100s, double 215B, double IS-7, double 57, an E3, and once again bringing that Gun Conqueror on Himmelsdorf. Meanwhile, Reddit's going with 3 50Bs, 5 E100s, themselves bringing an IS-4, an IS-7, a T-62A, a JPE, and 2 T-110 E3s. Now, I'm kind of curious. I didn't really see the positioning last time out of the IS-4 for Heavy Turret. Now, it looks like...
Could they be putting him into that A5 cubby?
No, he's all the way over on the 1 line right now. He's out playing the Echo 1 building.
Yeah, I see it.
Trying to support... keep eyes down that 1 line. I'm not really sure that's the greatest choice for him. I guess if Heavy Turret was going with a very strong 1 line play, this would be a good call. But they're not, and so he's going to be out of the fight. So you're putting 1 gun over there that can't move. He's looking for shots through the building there into the 8 line. Those are some really tricky shots from there. Artie Shell coming out for 700 on that IS-7. I suppose that's one benefit of bringing Artie, especially if you put him up on that hill, is he can crack that hole down right there. There's not a whole lot that they can do. Meanwhile, the first push is coming out of Heavy Turret, and their 50B is getting absolutely focused, and they're about to find a whole bunch of tanks from Reddit. All these guys are jammed into the A line. They got their E100s here. They focus down the first IS-7, and the rest of the guns are going to keep poking here, and all these guns of Reddit are sitting here echelon, perfectly aimed at this corner. Heavy Turret don't have the depression to engage here. They've already committed, though. They don't have a way out. They need the rest of these guns from the south to join them. These E100s are going to come straight up. They're going to complete this flank. They need to not stop at this cross here. I have a feeling they're going to see these tanks to the left, and they're going to stop. They need to just push through and break this turtle. They have to get those tanks from the north unstuck and let them move again. And if they sit here like this, trading like this, missing shots, hitting the building, not even doing damage, they're not doing their team any good. And, Heavy Turret is just losing these trades awfully. They're down 7,000 HP. Great counter out of Reddit here. Reddit may be studying the stream from Monday. Heavy Turret definitely went with a strong 2-cap play. And finally, the E100 is pushing through up the A line, and they're going to complete this flank. And this is the part where all these tanks from Heavy Turret need to push. If they're going to claw back into this, it has to be done now. They need to be super violent, they need to focus fire, and they need to kill these tanks before the rest of the guns from Reddit can get back into here. They knocked down 2 guns, they're doing a good job. Not getting many return shots off right now. They need to not let this 50B out. 50B's leaving at 200 HP. They're focusing down this other 50B. This is exactly what Heavy Turret needed to claw into this. But let's see if they can carry the momentum over. They've almost evened it back up on guns. One more shot's going to go in. Reddit managed to take out an E100, though. And now they're going to try to engage the rest of these forces. They need to get out of this alpha line, and they just need to push into these south guns. They need to pick direction and go. When you're surrounded like this, you just need to group up all your forces and go. You can't sit here in a crossfire. You just have to push the weakest side that you can find and just punch a hole through it and pray that you can get out and regroup. They've managed to push themselves into this, 8 line. They've gotten south, but they're pinned. They're down on HP by about 8,000. So they don't have a whole lot to work with, and it's only a matter of time before they sit here and get picked off while they hold this angle. Reddit doing a very good job at boxing them in. This IS-4 that was over on the 1 line, it took him a while to get here while he killed these things, but he's finally here and he's side-scraping. This is where we're going to see the usefulness of that IS-4. Side-scraping those angles. He's going to be really hard to pen. They're probably not even going to be shooting at him. He's playing off the back of that E100. It's down to 3 tanks for Heavy Turret. E100 at 215B and already up on the hill. Already sitting here looking for a shot into the A-cap. He's lining it up. I don't know if he's going to get it off. He's the only tank left, and it's just already hunting time for Reddit. So, you have to question whether, Heavy Turret, they had their one strat that worked really well for them on Monday. But it doesn't look like they changed anything. They tried to run the same strat, and the downside of these matches being casted is other teams get a chance to see your previous matches, and a shot going out there, taking down that gun conqueror for Heavy Turret, and it is 2-0 in favor of Reddit. So, back to my point, though, is the other teams get to see what you're doing, and they can study it a bit, and they can have counter strats. So, you have to start evolving your strats and not being so one-dimensional, which is how Heavy Turret's coming off right now. It's just extremely one-dimensional. They have to start changing things up. Once they are respected enough that they have more than one strat, teams won't run as many hard counters because, a hard counter is only good versus one strat. If a team does another, it's not going to work as well. So, that opens up more options for you again, and you can go back to those older strats. But running them this soon, I don't know how smart that is out of Heavy Turret. So, that's the downside to us picking a bunch of their matches. We're going to be giving them a break after this week, and we're going to be going to some other teams.
Absolutely.
But, they need to, Heavy Turret need to change up their strats and think outside the box a little bit more, in my opinion. You agree?
Now we'll get a chance to talk smack about other teams. It's not just going to be Heavy Turret anymore. But yeah, they I still don't like the RD. I mean, it could do 5,000 damage one game, and the amount that it has not necessarily performed well.
On a side note, you're
it's
at least showing up as down. Is it restarting?
It doesn't show as being down on my end.
It just went down here.
Well, it's not dropping frames. Maybe it came back up. I don't know. It doesn't show any drop frames at all. So
yeah, no, it went down. It was just about to start battle number 2. So it's showing offline. I'll refresh it. Sorry about this, folks. We will wonder what the issues are there. Yeah, and a simple refresh has brought it back up, I think. So
it might have been that issue with when X amount of people join the stream, it
Timed out, yeah.
times
All
out.
right,
Yeah.
so if you're, make sure you guys refresh your page. It's good to see a bunch of viewers out there. So we'll be going into batch number 3 here in a minute. It is 2-1 Reddit. Sorry about the technical difficulties there. We seem to have them sorted out. Yeah, stream drop to 10 people. Let me spam chat real quick here. We will be starting in just a moment, folks.
Yeah, I'm not seeing any drop frames on my end, and I'm still green. So battle did just start, by the way.
All right, so battle number 3. Heavy turret going with a 50B, 4 E100s, double 215B, an IS4, an IS7, 257s, a 262A, and double T110E3. Reddit, on the other hand, bringing double 50B, 5 E100s, double IS7, a 57, a Batchat, a 140, and double T110E3. So, very interesting lineups coming out here. Heavy turret dropping the Arty and bringing that IS4 again.
Maybe they listened.
Yeah, and it looks like Reddit is going a little bit heavier. So, they still have a couple mediums, but they've brought these T110E3s. We will have to see how they use them. Now, heavy turrets going with a very similar setup they went to last time. They're sending this 50B and the 62A down this one line. They're getting very aggressive, looking for lights. 50B is looking for shots over across the courtyard right now. The 140 is lit, so he's trying to see if he can line up a shot on that. And it looks like the rest of these tanks from Reddit are going to start pushing up this 8 line, these E100s coming up. And a lot of tanks on the hill for Reddit. So heavy turret Reddit looking for some shots off the hill right now. No trades going out either way, really. Looks like heavy turret's starting up by about 1,000 on HP. Reddit's going to be content just to park it here on this bottom end of this 8 line. They're going to try to feel out heavy turret again. They're going to use this 140 to poke around and try to find some eyes. The tanks up on the hill are going to get a little bit aggressive here. Looks like they're going to look over, see if they can find some tanks of heavy turret. Now, one thing I noticed is heavy turret's deployment of this IS4 is very similar to the use of the 110 in 754. They put them over here in this A5 cubby. It's a decent spot to counter this single cap. It's a very trolley tank. He's going to shut down this 5 line. The armor is very good on it. But the problem is that if heavy turret or if Reddit switched to a 1-2 line play, he's not going to be as effective, which looks like that's going to be the case with Reddit shifting their E100s and their 50Bs off of the hill over to the 1 line. So Reddit's left some tanks on the hill, but it looks like they're actually going to rotate out now as well, which that is interesting. We're down to 5 minutes on the timer, or 5:40 on the timer anyways. And these are U100s, so they're going to take a solid, 2 minutes to shift off this hill. So, I wonder what Reddit was looking for out of heavy turret. I think they sensed that heavy turret is set up very similar to last time, and they're going to try to distract them with some tanks and then go take this 1 cap with the majority of their forces. So I've seen this attack out of Reddit before. They are sending a bunch of their guns down the 1-2 line. They're going to focus out the 62As. 50Bs are going to find them. Down to 700. A couple more shots here. The 50B is also going to be pinned in the C1 building, and the only tank they have supporting them is the Law and this 215B. It's not going to be enough. These guns from Reddit are going to push up. They're going to take real aggressive control of this 3 line. They're going to get some tanks on cap. Meanwhile, over on the 8 line, these I7s are hull down, covered by their E3, and they're going to sit here and just try to slow down these tanks. It looks like heavy turret are a little bit smarter than that, though, and they're going to just push through and clean these guns up and try to help out the rest of the map. But they've already, heavy turret's already lost a tank. That 62A went down. This 50B is going to be next. If he pokes this angle, these E100s have enough alpha in the 3 of them to just focus down this 50B with 1 volley. First shot goes out, 700. Second shot goes out, and he's down. just like that. So now, these E100s are going to push through from Reddit, and they're going to get some tanks on cap. Heavy turret's done a good job at getting these I7s down, but they've taken a lot of damage for it. They're down, it's about 2k, it's 2-2 wall, and they're about even on HP. So those E100s that rotated off the hill that I talked about earlier are finally showing up to this battle. They've finally gotten out to the 2 line, and they're going to act as the screening force along this 3 line. They're just going to sit here and hold and try to stop these tanks coming across the courtyard. Looks like Reddit's getting off the cap. They're massing their tanks up on the north end of the 2 line. They're going to try to force this overmatch. They have, it looks like a 7-on-3 overmatch, 7-on-4 overmatch, and they feel pretty confident. Bad Chat's just going to push around, turn the turrets. E100's going to come in. They're going to focus down one tank. They're going to get this next one who's down really low on HP. But the Bad Chat's going to get focused out. Reddit get another gun. They're going for the E3. Ledif is getting around them. Looks like Ledif's going to burn out. Either it's a double fire or he's running Cola. Either way, unlucky. IS-4 is the only tank left up north for Heavy Turret. He's going to get focused down. It's still a really close game. It's 5-6. The HP lead's only about 2k in favor for Reddit, so Reddit need to be really cautious here and rotate HP and keep some of their lower HP guns alive. If Heavy Turret are smart and can pick up a few more kills, then this fight could go the other way. Looks like some of the Heavy Turret tanks got picked off in a crossfire there. Another E100 going down for Heavy Turret. Still a 1-tank advantage in favor of Reddit. This E3 is going to come off the hill, and he's going to get into this fight. He has all his HP. He could shut down these tanks. Looks like most of Reddit's tanks in the north are just going to push out to this 2 line and hold this angle. Meanwhile, this E3 is going to push down with all his HP in the frontal armor and focus him down. Shot coming from long range. Looks like one of the E100s from the courtyard maybe picked him off. Nice angle there, wherever that came from. I didn't see the exact spot, but good shot. E3 is just going to bully this Beast of the East. T-57 going to hit him with a snapshot from the E3 for 600. Ledif lining it up, taking him down, and it's all down to this last E100 a Heavy Turret. And that is a 3-0 lead in favor of Reddit. So very decisive stuff coming out of Reddit there. Well, I wouldn't say decisive. They kind of hesitated with what they wanted to do. I think they assumed that Heavy Turret would run the same strat again. They set up with a hard north play, like if they weren't there, they were just going to take the north cap and be ready for it. Once they kind of realized that the tanks at Heavy Turret were all there and that the 1 cap was more open, they shifted their forces. That's kind of risky with the lineup that Reddit was running with all these E100s. I worried about them being able to get there in time. There's only an 8-minute round timer and a lot of distance to cover, so it took a few minutes. But they got there and they were effective. My biggest complaint about Reddit there was they left the E3 up on the hill, which is understandable because he is even slower than the E100s. It took them a long time to get him into the fight, though. They waited till the push on the 1 line was like pretty much complete, and the tanks of Heavy Turret had rotated down the 8 line before he even pushed around. So he came around, right. He got to that Bravo line corner, he was looking down the Bravo line, and by the time he got there, nothing was there for him to shoot. So then he had to drive all the way out to the 2 cap, and he didn't get in there until the very end when he could clean it up. So I feel that tank could have been better used. I mean, it's always nice to keep HP for later, but his gun wasn't in the fight at all, just the same. So that kind of makes me worry about Reddit. Obviously, they got the win there, but they could have been a little bit cleaner. Heavy Turret, just still lack of ingenuity. They're running the same stuff they ran the other night, and Reddit already showed that they could break it one way. They won the first round, and Heavy Turret didn't change anything up, and Reddit just said, well, we already broke this way, so let's just try to break it a different way. And so they went with an even more effective way. They switched it up. They got the 1 cap under control, and they made the tanks from Heavy Turret rotate, and they made them push through all the different guns from all over the map, and Reddit didn't make any mistakes in focusing down tanks, and didn't go very well for Heavy Turret. Anything you noticed there that I'm missing out?
I mean, a huge thing that I noticed was that 1 line 50B that was on the defensive side for Heavy Turret basically just got completely caught out and melted there. Did he even shoot? Let's see. I don't know if I'm going to have the time. 50B.
So it
He
was
he got
prototype
1500
rewired.
out. Right. He got
Yeah.
1500 damage out. He might have been able to survive a clip though. He might have been able to get those shots out and survive that clip had he left earlier. He had to fully known that those E100s were coming crashing down on top of him. There was a 140 that had just melted 18 seconds beforehand. That 18-second window is plenty of time to get behind that railhouse in a 50B.
Yeah. So maybe they could have kept that gun a little bit longer, used them to get some resets and slow down the tanks a bit more than they did. They just kind of let them die early and you didn't really put much
Absolutely.
effort into
And
it.
they just got completely overmatched there. And when you get overmatched like that, your tanks have to know to run.
Yep. So let's see if Heavy Turret can do something different here. They're bringing double 50B, 3 E100s, 4 215Bs, an IS-7, an E5, a 57, an E3, and once again going with the Gun Conqueror. Reddit, on the other hand, bringing a 50B, 5 E100s, 3 215Bs, an IS-7, a T62A, a JPE 100, so the Jagzilla coming out, and then double T110 E3. So we'll have to see if Heavy Turret can change things up a bit. Because obviously what they're doing right now isn't working. They're going to send Heavy Turret's going to send a couple tanks to the hill with the Arty. They're putting that Arty up on the hill again. So that seems to be the only spot that they feel comfortable putting that Arty. What that screams to me is the rest of these tanks are going to come over here to this one line. No early lights coming out for Reddit. So Heavy Turret's going to be able to shift a majority of their forces over here to this one line pretty easily. The IS-7 of Reddit's going to come down here to the Gulf 2 cubby. He's going to get tucked in, and he's going to be a thorn in the side of Heavy Turret for a while until that Gun Conqueror can get him out. I don't know why they're using that spot again once they saw the Arty. They realized, last time that Heavy Turret brought an Arty on attack, that Arty can clearly just drop shells into there and get him out without trying much. First shot going out for 800. He's got another 40 seconds, and he'll probably be dead. 1200, in a very small spot where he can't move a lot. If one direct hit out of that Gun Conqueror, and that IS-7 is dead. So, maybe that right there is enough to show the worth of bringing that Arty to get out that one position. At least that's the thought of Heavy Turret. If he can get them out, and he can start focusing on this cluster of tanks up at C3, get a couple shots out, he has 2 to 3 minutes ideally to work with to get shots off and chip down some HP, and then Heavy Turret can start. They need to not push too early. They need to if they're going to bring the Arty, they need to at least let it work. Now that being said, Heavy Turret have left a lot of tanks over here in this A0 cubby again. 50B and an E5 are going to keep eyes on it. Shot going out, and like I said, only need one more shot and that I-7's down. So direct hit him for 1200. I'm not sure why Heavy Turret are starting to push this early. They should know this is a multi-layered defense. They don't want to give up this HP yet when they have Arty. They can give their Arty another minute to get some more damage off. Looks like the 62A is going to come up to the hill, but he's going to find this E5 and this 50B. 50B is going to be probably clipped by now, though. He's been firing shots down there through the gaps at the 2 line. So it's just going to be this E5 to deal with him. 50B will reload before he can get kill focused out, as long as the tanks from the 2 line don't turn and help out the hill. So a shot going into the back of that E5, taking him a minute to even realize he's there. He's finally turning around, going to deal with that. An artillery shot goes out, hits for 900. So Heavy Turret are going to push up, and they're going to get real aggressive here on this cap. They're also going to be pushing up their tank destroyers up this 3 line. So they're going with a multi-layered screen again, very similar to what Reddit's done previously. So they've turned this 215B sideways, so he's just going to be hold down cover, and they're going to park the rest of their 215Bs behind him. Really clever strat out of Heavy Turret. My biggest concern with that is those 215Bs are not the greatest hold down tanks. Not if it's another 215B hiding it. The problem is those turret rings on the bottom half of the turret are very soft, and Reddit know this. They can land those shots from that distance, and that 215B is not the biggest tank to provide that cover. Also, the HE shells can very easily be landed on the turrets and get some resets that way. So, another Arty shot coming out for a bunch, and a tank just absolutely getting wrecked. It looks like it was that JPE 100. Reddit are doing a good job at clawing back some HP into here. Heavy Turret have the cap down to 20 seconds. The flanks coming through for Heavy Turret here is Hellish Yoda is the last person in a good spot for Heavy Turret. Once he goes down, Heavy Turret are going to lack good angles on this cap. IS-7's using this E100 as cover, so he's put that tank between him and the other guns of Reddit as cover. But then he's going to poke around after he knows that E3 is there. He's going to take the shot of damage anyways. Not really sure why he just didn't sit back for a minute, let his guns get into there. And Heavy Turret are going to choose to abandon the cap now. They know that these tanks come through south. They're going to try to just group up as many of the tanks as they can north and get their guns into here. Already coming through again, taking out that E3. Heavy Turret have about a 3,000 HP lead. E3 on the outside here is a one-shot. The F215B is a one-shot, and the 62A is all a one-shot. So Heavy Turret just need to be real aggressive right now and make sure they get all three of these guns down and get out of these E100s coming up behind them. Just like that, 215B goes down from that E100 to the south, and another tank goes down. The IS-7 goes down by the 62A. So Astro Bubble pushing up. Bubba takes out the shot on the T-62A, and Carjax is the only tank left up north. He's at 520 and probably on a reload right now. And these E100s are the last saving grace for Reddit. Heavy Turret only have about a 2,000 HP lead. That can be changed in one volley out of these E100s. And none of the tanks from Heavy Turret are particularly healthy except for the E5 coming from the hill. And it looks like this E100 also has 2K. And one volley, just like that, takes down that 50B to a one-shot. Cardiacs is going to line up the shot, and that 50B is going to get dropped. So, you know, Heavy Turret need to be careful here. They need to show some composure and close this out. That RD doesn't really have any shots. Finally, a shot on that 50B of Carjax, and he gets dropped by the E100. And it's about a 1,500 HP lead for Heavy Turret. And Reddit finding another gun. 3 guns and an RD left on the field for Reddit. And it looks like this E100 from Reddit's going to push around, find the kill shot on this E100. Not even attempting to angle his armor there. I'm not really sure what that was about. Not even an attempt, and he knew that shell was coming. I wonder if he thought he had him beats on reload, but he didn't even fire, so I'm not really sure what's up there. And shut up Snake for Reddit. Gonna get focused down here. E5 not making a mistake that time. And it's all down to this last E100 with 1,500 HP. He gets out a shot on the E100. Good opening trade. The RD shell comes off the hill and misses the C100. So this E100 is going to hold down. E100 from Heavy Turret is going to hold here, get this angle. He's going to bounce that shot, so he missed the shot there that he could have taken. And this E5 is going to flank around, but I think he's been spotted. The E100 knows it. He's going to push up and try to get around. E5 is going to get a clean shot on his rear here, land for 300, and a shot goes out. Heavy Turret need to finish this guy off real fast. This already needs to be reloaded. This E100 can take out, and heat going into the spaced armor of the E100. No damage there. This E100 can take out the E100 Heavy Turret just like that. So it's all down to Joe. He has about 16 seconds here to kill this E100. Needs to make the shot. He gets 300. Decent roll there. He's got about another 10 seconds to make a shot count. 100 HP left for this E100. The RD's coming in here for the TD mode, and a bounced shot goes out. Only a matter of time. And not a low roll, but not a high roll either. 724. Both are down to one shot. E5 bounces. RD's going to take his time, line up his shot here. If the E100 was smart, he's going to turn and take out. And the Gun Conqueror says, screw this, I want to kill you both. Takes out his own teammate in the process, but gets the kill and the win. Really sloppy stuff from Heavy Turret. But they made it work. You can't deny the result. They took the win, and that RD, that we were bagging on, pretty worthless for the first 3 rounds, in my opinion. Coming up huge this round. 5,300 from the Gun Conqueror on Himmelsdorf. That's just disgusting. He single-handedly took out that IS-7. He weakened the tanks in the north to make it to where Heavy Turret could push. Heavy Turret really showed a lack of composure when they did push. It was the right idea, the right call, but a lot of missed shots, heat shells hitting spaced armor. The whole combination of things, that round almost went wrong for Heavy Turret. That really could have been clutchable by the D100. If that RD hadn't landed that shell and gotten that kill, I don't doubt that E100 would have cleaned that up. But that E5 not doing a good enough job there. I think he bounced 3 shots in a row on that E100.
5,000 damage though from that conch. So after we've been ragging on that artillery piece, it comes through in a pretty major way for Heavy Turret. But it's kind of, I don't want to say it's a one and done strategy, but Reddit played right into that strategy. They know that the Gun Conqueror is there. There's nowhere else that it could go, and yet they still put tanks. They put a whole group of tanks just waiting to get shot. They put the
Yep.
IS-7 all the way up on that the D line there. No, the G line. I'm sorry, all the way up on the G line. He gets hit for 1,500 and killed from the artillery. And then you guys send 4 tanks to the C3 hidey hole area, and that just gets lit up all day from the top of the hill. So you gotta kind of alter your strategy when you see an artillery piece come in, and not play those hidey holes. Maybe put 1 tank there for lights and put your rest elsewhere. Put them inside of the train house. You know, like it's perfectly safe from artillery in there. They still have the exact same purpose and role, and they're safe.
Yep. So 3-1 scoreline in favor of Reddit. Not too bad out of Reddit for the first rounds. Both of Reddit's attacks were very effective. They did a good job at reading Heavy Turret's defense. Heavy Turret not changing things up either round. And, Reddit's taking the round advantage. Well, it turns into a 2-round advantage here just by getting that 1 round on offense that Heavy Turret, failed to pick up. So, interesting stuff here. We got 4 minutes till the next battle. So we're not going to go anywhere. We're just going to sit here and talk for a few minutes, I guess, and bore you guys to death. I have been keeping an eye on chat. Nagatron, one of the WGLNA casters, is out there, and he said nobody loves the Foch. Well, I know.
And
Naga,
to that, we
you
tell him to go Foch himself.
Yeah, you could do that too. I was going to be a little bit more constructive here. And this is an educational moment, but that works too.
I prefer the joke.
Yep. So Naga obviously is too busy with WGL to really pay attention to clans in general, meta at tier 10, which he's soon going to have to be forced to with the league changes coming up here soon. So this is what I have to say on the whole tank destroyer and Foch and all that stuff. Back in the day, the Foch 155 and the 268 used to be a staple in Clan Wars. All the clans would use them. The Object 268 had something stupid like 490 pen on its gold shells and would hit for 1,000. And then on top of it, it was super mobile. The armor wasn't the greatest, but it was just a very mobile tank destroyer. So you could run those with a medium pack and have that be your alpha. And they were very effective. And I want to say it was about a year and a half ago now, maybe 2 years ago now, Wargaming decided to nerf these tank destroyers. Same thing happened with the Foch 155. Clans would run 2 or 3 Foches with a bunch of mediums, and the Foches were fast enough and mobile enough they could turn that they could keep up with the mediums. They nerfed the mobility of the Foch. They nerfed the frontal armor. They nerfed the alpha down to 700. So they became a lot less effective. They still have the 3-shot autoloader, and they hit for 750 alpha a shot. So they're not completely ineffective, but they're not as powerful as they used to be. So that's why we don't see them being used anymore. The main tank destroyers we've seen used in the Clan League so far are T110 E3s and 263s. The T110 E3 because it's the best armored. The gun is mediocre for a tank destroyer. It hits for about 700, has decent pen. The reload's about 18 seconds, so it gets off about 3 shots a minute. So it does its job. Its biggest thing is survivability. It can hold an area, it can lock something down, and cause some hurt. The 263 is a bit different. We see 263s because they can play more like those Foches. Plus, they have the frontal armor. So just like the old day, the 263s are quick enough they can get anywhere on the map very fast. They have a top speed limit of about 55 miles an hour, and the frontal armor is very, very thick. The only place you can really pen it consistently is the gun mantlet, which is the complete opposite of every other tank in this game. Every other tank, you don't shoot the gun mantlet. It's going to be the thickest armor. Because of the angling, the angle is actually less on the gun mantlet as it is the rest of the front plates, even though it's the same overall thickness. So because the angling is less, it actually makes the effective armor slightly less than the rest of the front of the tank, and it's pennable there. So the 263 is still, if it's moving though, the mantlet's hard to hit and it has an insane DPM. It has about a 10-second reload on a 550 alpha gun. The penetration is very high. I believe it's about 390 on the APCR, and it has very, very high velocity. So fun fact here on the 263 that a lot of people don't know. 263 is actually the brother tank of the Object 261, the RD. The Russians decided what would make a good tank destroyer. How about an artillery shooting straight? So they took the 261, they slapped on, I believe it's like 30 tons of steel armor onto the front of it, and then fixed the gun to shoot forward. And the Russians had a very good tank destroyer all of a sudden. I'm not sure how many were actually produced. I know that's how it was created. I'm not sure if this is one of the created in blueprints only, or if they produced a large number of these. If you want to look more into that, you can. That's just been something I always found fascinating. The whole theory behind it, though. So enough talk about tank destroyers. We got 25 seconds, and we're going to be into battle number 5. It is 3-1 in favor of Reddit, and map number 2 is going to be Tundra. So another map not really seen in the WGL. My only experience with it on Attack Defend is in public team battles. We've seen it played a couple of times so far in League, and actually I believe it was the map picked both times by Heavy Turret. I think we've seen this every time played by Heavy Turret, so I'm assuming it's them picking it. Very open map. The hill controls a lot of the map. You control the hill. You have, you can shoot everywhere except for that back one line. So the attacking side automatically has the advantage as far as that goes. Heavy Turret, last time we saw them with all these E5s, which is what they've brought a lot of this time, we'll start on defense. They played up around these train tracks down the 3-4 line. They used the terrain there, and they put their E5s hull down. It didn't really work out for them last time, so we'll see if they change it up. Going over lineups, Heavy Turret have run in 3 215Bs, an IS-7, 7 T110 E5s. Where's that 8? Nope, that's 7. A Bat Chat, and 2 T110 E3s. Meanwhile, Reddit bringing double 50B, an E100, 3 215Bs, an IS-7, 3 E5s, a Bat Chat, 2 140s, and Reddit finally bringing a Conqueror gun carriage of their own. So like I said, Heavy Turrets on defense. And once again, it looks like their E5s are going to spread across this train track. And if you look at it, it's low ground just to the left of it, towards the west. So they can put the E5s on there. E5s obviously have really good turret armor. E5s just got buffed this last patch. So the cupola, the commander's hatch on it, is extremely thick. You can't really pen them consistently. The only thing that I've seen struggle with are heat shells out of IS-4s, and E100s seem to be able to get somewhat consistent pens on it, but still, I wouldn't call it consistent. I'd call it 1 out of every 3 you'll pen. So that being said, Reddit are pushing across the south here. They look like they want to touch this 2-cap. They've left their 3 215Bs in the low ground in the water here, and I don't believe they've been spotted. Heavy Turret haven't sent any scouts over here, so they don't know what's here. Bat Chat getting absolutely focused out while he was on the high ground. His Sixth Sense, Sixth Sense has a 3-second delay. So my guess is what happened is one of the tanks from Reddit spotted it. He held his shell just long enough to let his teammates queue up on it, and they all fired at the same time before the poor fella could back out of there. So he's already down to 243 health, 42 health. So he's just going to hide over there, and Reddit could pretty much do whatever they want at this point. Heavy Turret don't have any vision. They really don't have much vision. And so Reddit could push either direction here. I think they understand how many guns Heavy Turret have back here in this valley. So I don't think they're going to try to push in and force this. I could be wrong, though. It looks like a couple mediums are going to poke around here. Maybe it's going to be these mediums for Heavy Turret, or for Reddit, that are going to find the rest of these Heavy Turret guns, and maybe that'll be the moment that Reddit says, all right, we're not doing this. Let's go to another cap. The RD shell for Reddit coming out here, smacking that T110 E5, or no, it was a 215B for 800 damage. He's down to just over half HP. And the 2 mediums from Reddit are going to go ahead and force this. So they must not know what's down there. They're going to scare out this Bat Chat. No one lining up a shot for Reddit. Let's see if he can get all the way out of here. Yeah, the Bat Chat's going to get out of here. And this is the part where these mediums are going to come around this corner. They're going to spot all these guns. And they're going to go, yeah, this is a bad idea. it looks like Heavy Turret is going to be a bit proactive here, and they're going to try to force this fight now. They've pushed all their E5s that were previously up north. They've pushed them down this 3 line. They're going to come in here behind. It looks like the rest of the guns of Heavy Turret on the 1 line are going to choose this chance to push out, and they might catch out these mediums if they're lucky. Mediums are going to sit here and stop and shoot these E5s, which they don't really have that great of shots on. They got a lot of terrain in their way. And I don't think these mediums understand that all these tanks from Heavy Turret are going to come around this corner and just absolutely waste them. So they need to get out of there. Reddit's going to send the rest of their guns over here. The 215Bs are going to come up the middle river, and they're going to come up behind these tank destroyers here. So the mediums are finally going to get out of here, but they're going to take a lot of damage. They're going to get shot in their rear. The E5s from Heavy Turret, which push down this river, are getting focused out. They're in a really brutal crossfire right now. The 215Bs have come across that river, and then the rest of the guns up top are just sitting here shooting them from the top, neglecting all their armor. And it looks like the flank from Heavy Turret is going to finally come through here. A couple of the bat chats for Reddit have pushed the E5s up north, trying to open up that cap and cause a little bit more pressure on to Heavy Turret. I don't think they really need it at this point. I think they have Heavy Turret bottlenecked exactly where they want them. They just need to hurry up and focus fire and kill some more guns. HP is about an 8,000 lead in favor of Reddit. If they're going to do this, they need to hurry up and kill this E5. They're taking a bit longer than they should. It looks like Ledif, no, he has shots. So he has shots. He just hasn't clipped them out. 215B is going to find the shot, and now they're going to get tanks in this north cap. I don't think it matters, though. The rest of these Heavy Turret guns are all sitting down here in this valley, and all these guns from Reddit are up above them, and E5s, and I7s, and 50Bs sitting here shooting down upon them. And it is pretty much fish in a barrel at this point for Reddit. And it's just cleanup for Reddit at this point. One more tank getting focused down.
Yeah, and there's no avoiding the fact that that E5 push that Heavy Turret had made through that river there, it was going to be an awesome play. But they went way too aggressive with it. They pushed their tanks into a huge crossfire. They were surrounded basically 180 degrees getting shot at. And then the remainder of their heavy tanks were behind that mountain and not able to support those tanks. So, they rushed into their push a little bit too much. And if they had just stayed in that valley and enticed a cap play, they instantly nuke whatever comes around that corner if they just echelon in that river and look.
Yeah,
making that push puts them right. Sorry, I keep cutting you off here.
No, go
making that push puts them right into an artillery piece able to fire on them when those heavy tanks have to come in and support the E5 push that they made. 3 heavy tanks got hit for like 1,000 damage each from that artillery piece. 3,000 damage in 2 shots. So
my biggest concern there, I said at the beginning of the battle, that Heavy Turret didn't have any vision. They didn't see those 215s down there in the low ground, and that's exactly what ended up, being the Achilles heel of Heavy Turret this game. It was a decent play to push those E5s down south. They pushed into a very strong position, and they would have been fine if they didn't have tanks coming up behind them. And they didn't know these tanks were there until they were on top of them and left them nowhere to go. It would have been a decent play if the E5s had been there and they didn't have anything behind them. They can sit there shooting at the stuff in the south from a distance and let the flank come through, and they can focus it down. However, Reddit, pushing up that middle river, came in behind, and so all of a sudden those E5s are sitting with 215Bs behind them, which you don't want those things chipping away at you. They only have 400 alpha, which at tier 10 isn't that high. But they have an 8-second reload on that gun, and the penetration is amazing, and they're insanely accurate. So you put 3 of those there, they can melt the tank within, 16 seconds, maybe 25 seconds. They're going to melt the tank easily, no questions asked. So they didn't leave those E5s anywhere to go, and that all just comes from the lack of vision. And the medium scouting out that area, kind of keeping eyes on the river. All of a sudden, they know those 215s are there. They don't push that river. They stay on the high ground. and they leave their tanks over in the one line, and Reddit, heavy turrets in a much stronger position still. But they didn't have the vision. They pushed in, they got surrounded, and they, as a result, they just got focused down. I forgot which. Trying to remember which military philosopher it was that had the quote about the high ground, but you know, uh, at least what I'm calling, I don't ever push my guys into a low ground when I can avoid it. It's not a good situation to ever be in. A lot of these tanks don't have the greatest gun elevation. The armor gets neglected when you're down lower because the angles you're being shot at. So you don't have your armor's not as good, and the other tanks can get to cover a lot quicker. So interesting stuff. We are on to battle number 6. It is 4-1 in favor of Reddit. Reddit on match point. And Heavy Turret are on offense. So Heavy Turret bringing in double 50B, an E100, double 215B, double IS-7s, 3 E5s, an STB, a 62A, and a T110 E3. The Reddit tanks, on the other hand, are a 50B, 2 215Bs, 5 T110 E5s, 2 Object 140s, a T110 E3, 2 T110 E4s, and bringing that Conqueror gun carriage again. So Heavy Turret going with the south play, leaving a couple tanks up north for some vision, but overall they're committing most of their forces to the south. So this is what I was talking about when I was talking about vision. Reddit are sending this Para 140s straight up here right off the bat. They're going to find a majority of these forces of Heavy Turret here within a second. So these majority of the tanks from Heavy Turret are trying to get down to this Gulf line where they're covered, firing some shots, and I think these 140s know they're there now. STB for Reddit was up on the hill. He got smacked by a bunch of the T110 E5s and got dropped to half HP. And Reddit are not letting Heavy Turret even push into this area uncontested. They have guns from all angles shooting at this field. 215Bs coming out here. And Heavy Turret's just going to go with the push. They're just going to keep pushing their tanks down here. It's pretty much hold my beer tactics at this point. Let's just go for it. All the tanks are coming in. Heavy tanks or 50Bs are dropping back so the armored tanks can push forward. And they're just going to find some hold down heavy or tank destroyers from Reddit. And Heavy Turret are giving up a lot of HP to take these positions. And now all the guns from Reddit are just on top of them. The mediums are rotating out. The mediums are going to go establish vision on the rest of the map now. So they found where the tanks were. They backed out. Damn it, holding those positions, doing damage isn't their job. They're just going to leave, and they're going to go look at the rest of the map where their main forces aren't. So they're going to go find this STB up on the hill and the 62A trailing. And if Heavy Turret aren't careful, they're going to get caught out. Another 1,500 damage going in favor of Reddit. All the guns are going to focus on these tank destroyers. Heavy Turret doing a good job at making up for the loss they just took. They're going to try to force this one line. Heavy Turret feel that they have an overmatch on this one line, which they don't really. They can't see all the guns there. They're going to try to poke it, and they're going to try to, make this be the part where they win this fight. If they can win this fight, they can win the rest. Because they know that the tanks on the other side of this hill can't shoot them right now. But they don't have enough tanks, and they gave up too much HP to get here, so I don't think anything's going to happen there. The STB being smart, turn away from the hill, because he saw those 140s coming. The Object 140s of Reddit are going to get up on this hill, and they're going to start shooting the backside of all these tanks here. So the Heavy Turret need to hurry up and figure out what they're doing, pick a direction, because they've wasted a lot of HP, and now they don't have a strong position to work with. So the best thing they can hope for is a cap out. The cap's down to 10 seconds right now, and all these guns from Reddit are going to push over because they know there's a lot of pressure on this cap. 15 seconds, one minor reset, 9 seconds. Heavy Turret doing the best they can to screen this cap. Arty Shell coming out and resetting everybody. All of a sudden, just like that, there's no more pressure on this cap. So Heavy Turret need to hurry up and find a solution because the cap's not going to happen. Reddit's on top of them now, so Heavy Turret's only option is to kill out. And they're down about 6,000 HP in damage right now. So that's not happening either. Tanks just dropping left and right for heavy turret. They gave up too much HP to get to these positions, and once they were here, they just didn't have anything to fight with. Shots hitting the tracks for no damage. And another kill shot going onto the tank on cap. Good reset coming out there for the E5 of Reddit. Reddit are up 4-9. 5-9, so heavy turret clawing one back. But it's going to be too little, too late at this point. Heavy turret are down to 2,000 HP. To Reddit, it's 10,000. Another tank going down for heavy turret. And it's just going to be clean up here for Reddit. Last tank alive is the 50B. He has 800 HP, but he's running out of shells. He's going to try to get one more kill. Not going to get it. Looks like he's out of shells. He fires into, does have a shield still. Hits the track. And he goes down. So, 5-1 victory in favor of Reddit. Pretty good stuff out of Reddit. Nothing. Reddit's biggest thing there through this whole game. Reddit didn't bring anything amazing to this series. Not to talk them down, but they didn't. There was no insane strats, no amazing positionings or anything coming out of Reddit. Everything they did was very consistent, very calculated, and they didn't make many mistakes. They made a few at some points, but they didn't make many of them. And heavy turret, on the other hand, pushing tanks into blind positions, not leaving themselves with visions and spots they needed to keep eyes on. A lot of little things that just didn't do right, and they didn't get the win. They only got the one. They had the one sloppy win, which you could argue was a little bit lucky for heavy turret to even get that win, because they weren't in a very strong position through a lot of that match. The RD really saved them on that round. Literally, he got the last kill. He did like 5,000 damage. That was the one round that they won. So, Reddit just doing a very good job being consistent, putting up good damage, not making a lot of shots bounce. That was another thing I noticed out of heavy turret was a lot of shots hitting either heat shells hitting spaced armor or shots being taken at tracks. Just poor marksmanship out of heavy turret is another thing that ailed them through this whole game. So not a whole lot that can be said there. So that wraps up for our first match of tonight, guys. We have another match coming up to you in about an hour. So we're going to go ahead and put up a timer on the screen to take a break, rest our voices. You guys can go back to your pubs, come back here in an hour or hang out and chat. And we'll be back. Our second match is going to be Relic Main versus 404. So that should be some good stuff. It'll be our first time casting both of those teams. So tune back in about 1 hour, 10 o'clock Eastern. See you then.